In 1961, West Side Story was released to the theaters, becoming the highest-grossing film of the year, as well as being one of the most iconic films of the 1960s. West Side Story was a really big deal at the time, and would later pave the way for what we now know as the teen musical genre. West Side Story quickly became a fan favorite amongst many teenagers and young adult viewers at the time of its release, being a modern retelling of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Taking place in a mostly urban 1950s New York City setting, the film explored themes of romance, comedy, action, and gang violence, which was very rare for musicals at the time. This film was so successful that many people consider it to be the quintessential musical and one of the best musical films of all time. After the success of West Side Story, the teen musical film genre started to take over and dominate the industry throughout the next coming decades. 2 years later, the 1963 film Bye Bye Birdie, as well as many others, would see similar success throughout the rest of the 60s and the 70s. The 1970s was when the teen musical film genre reached new heights, as Grease became the must-see film for younger generations. To this day, Grease is seen by many as the most influential and successful teen musical of all time. Being released in 1978, Grease became a global smash hit, surpassing its predecessors, and was the new standard for teen movies at the time, despite most of the actors clearly not being in high school but a bunch of 30-year-olds. Grease was able to stand the test of time, becoming the most popular teen musical film up until that point. The film was mostly notable for kick-starting the careers of John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, amongst many others. Hot take, but to me, Grease is not that great of a film. I know, boo, tomato. Now, don't get me wrong, the songs are iconic and all, but the characters just aren't that likable or believable to me as high school students. Even though there were more successful films released in this genre over the years, you could just tell that the teen musicals of yesteryear were slowly becoming irrelevant and dated by the early 90s. Teens and young adults quickly lost interest in them as there were better options for entertainment as the decades progressed. Fast forward to the mid-2000s, that all changed with one film, and that one film was High School Musical. High School Musical was a Disney Channel original movie, or DCOM for short, that premiered on the network in 2006. It became the most popular DCOM at the time and helped bring back the teen musical film genre format to the mainstream. This film was extremely popular during the 2000s amongst kids and teens, bringing in millions of viewers, fans, and more, making it a global phenomenon overnight. High School Musical was so big that it had multiple sequels, spin-offs, world tours, TV series, merchandise, and theatrical releases, making it one of the most successful and profitable Disney franchises of the 21st century. Fun fact, the DVD sales for the first one made over $100 million, which is just insane. Do y'all remember DVDs? I used to love me some DVDs, but anyways, this film franchise not only brought back the teen musical film genre, but really helped inspire many kids around the country to pursue musical theater, as well as launching the careers of many of today's biggest stars. As of now, High School Musical is the most successful franchise to come from Disney Channel. This movie really helped to put them on the map, you just had to be there. So for this video, we'll be taking a look back at what life was like during the High School Musical craze in the 2000s, and how the teen musical genre evolved over the years after its release. So I thought it would just be fun to take a look back and see what made High School Musical so successful, and to see if it still holds up almost 20 years later. But before we do that, we have to go back in time to see what Disney Channel was like before High School Musical took over and changed the landscape of the network forever. By the late 90s, Disney Channel saw what their competitors at Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network were doing and needed to adapt to the rapidly changing children's entertainment market fast, or they would get left behind. I already made a whole video on this topic in great detail, so y'all should definitely check that out. And you know, since you're here, you might as well hit the subscribe button, cause why not? But anyways, during this time, Disney Channel was creating original content including cartoons, live action sitcoms, the launch of their website website and their DCOMs. This was a good start as their original programming was starting to gain some traction, proving that they were capable of being a major game player in the children's entertainment industry. By this point, everything they had to offer was very simple and straightforward. This included the sudden rise in popularity of their DCOMs. The DCOMs during this time were just very simplistic and to the point. There was just no films where kids would just randomly break out in song and dance. Instead, we saw many DCOMs about kids moving to different locations, kids running off to new locations, going to military schools, being in outer space, surfing, talking to imaginary friends, turning into mermaids, being a superhero, and a lot of sports movies. There was just so many DCOMs about sports around this time, you just had to be there. Besides some outlandish plots and stories, this era of DCOMs was really special because most of them felt really grounded in reality and weren't trying too hard to be something they weren't, which was just nice to see. And the same goes for the shows. They were all mostly simple in their approach and felt more grounded in reality, teaching children various morals and life lessons. During this time, Disney Channel was very focused on educating their young viewers about a wide variety of things that had absolutely nothing to do with musical content. I wonder what happened. In 2002, Even Stevens aired the season 2 episode Influenza the Musical. This was the musical episode where Ren almost missed school due to having the flu, but ended up going because, you know, she's your overachiever character and because, you know, this is a Disney Channel show. At the time, this became Disney Channel's highest rated episode, which later inspired a musical episode of That's So Raven a few years after. The Raven episode, titled The Road to Audition, also became one of the highest rated episodes on Disney Channel. It's the one where Raven has a vision that a talent scout from a popular singing competition show was coming to her school in disguise looking for fresh young talent. This was actually one of my favorite episodes from the show growing up because we got to see the cast sing and dance, showing off their skills as performers. These two episodes proved to be successful as well as becoming major influences on future DCOMs and shows. Also around this time, Disney Channel was really starting to market their young stars as teen idols, having these big music careers. In the summer of 2003, Disney Channel aired their first musical DCOM, The Cheetah Girls, which was a massive hit. Premiering with 6.5 million viewers, this film was a major success, breaking the record for the biggest DCOM premiere at the time, and was the launchpad for the teen musical film franchise on the network. The movie starred Raven-Symoné of That's So Raven fame, which, side note, to many fans, she was actually considered the Beyonce of Disney Channel, and I have to agree with that. I mean, look at the material. Adrienne Bailon and Keely Williams of 3LW fame, and Sabrina Bryan. Being the first musical DCOM, The Cheetah Girls became extremely popular for its catchy songs, relatable messages, and having girls of color as the main leads, which was groundbreaking at the time. This movie was about a group of friends who chased their dreams of becoming the next big girl group in hopes of getting signed to a major label, only to find the industry is not all what they thought it was. The movie is all about staying true to yourself and having morals, which was definitely a great lesson to teach kids and little girls at the time. The Cheetah Girls was a very important DCOM because it laid the foundation for what was to come in the near future, changing the trajectory and channel. Being their first musical, this was a great practice run and the start of something new. Get it? Start of something new, like the movie, like High School Musical.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, anyways.
When class is in session, this high school is rockin'. Check out the Disney Channel original movie, High School Musical, coming up next.
High School Musical made its debut on TV screens in January of 2006, and this movie was a major turning point for Disney Channel and children's entertainment as a whole. You just had to be there. High School Musical is considered by many people to be the best DCOM ever, when there are clearly like 11 films that I think are much better in my opinion, but I digress. It's definitely the most iconic and popular, just not the best. This movie quickly became the biggest and most influential DCOM in Disney Channel's history, bringing in a total of 7.7 million viewers, making it the highest DCOM premiere at the time. Disney Channel really struck gold in the mid-2000s with this franchise, as you couldn't go anywhere without seeing merchandise in some store or hearing the songs, as they were just everywhere. Speaking of, the High School Musical soundtrack was full of classics, including Get Your Head in the Game, Breaking Free, and We're All in This Together, amongst many others. These songs became some of the most recognizable modern Disney songs, in Disney's history, which is just crazy since this was just a TV movie. Despite this film launching the careers of many young stars that we all know and love today, Disney Channel took a major risk by hiring a bunch of unknowns to play their lead characters. Zac Efron, Vanessa Hudgens, Corbin Bleu, Monique Coleman, and Lucas Grabeel were all unknown at the time. Yes, I know, Lucas Grabeel, who played Ryan, and Alicia Rulin, who played Kelsey, they were in a DCOM before this that was moderately successful, but they were still unknown. And I know somebody's gonna say something in the comments about Corbin Bleu being in Catch That Kid, but again, he wasn't, a household name yet. He was just in this movie. It was High School Musical that made him famous, so there's that. Ashley Tisdale was the only cast member at the time that was pretty famous and had a big following, as she was a part of the popular Disney Channel teen sitcom, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, where she played Maddie. So High School Musical is about a group of teenagers who sing and dance all while in high school, hence the title. Get it? It's called High School Musical because they're in high school. And anyways, Troy and Gabriella meet at a New Year's Eve party and are forced to sing karaoke together. Things start off very awkward at first, but the two have instant chemistry, wowing the crowd. Side note, apparently Zac Efron barely sang in this movie and instead was replaced by a guy named Drew Seeley because Zac's voice was too deep for what Disney was looking for, or so they say. This actually is nothing new and has been done plenty of times in films and television.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
How many people were scared? Me too.
Anyways, Troy and Gabriella swap numbers, go about their way, never to see each other again, and that's the end of the movie. Just kidding. Could you imagine? Imagine if that was the end of the movie. Like, they just met at this New Year's Eve party, never to be seen again, and they just sang the one song. Okay, I'm running out of jokes.
Child. Anyway, so
Shortly after winter break, they end up finding out that they both attend the same high school, East High, which is just so convenient in Disney Channel. Troy Bolton, the star athlete and captain of the basketball team, and Gabriella Montez, an academically gifted transfer student, secretly auditioned for the leads in the upcoming school musical, later causing division amongst their friend groups and school cliques. We later get introduced to the other main characters in the franchise. Chad Danforth, the token black friend of the franchise, is the typical athlete, jock character we see in many high school movies and shows. He's also Troy's best friend and a member of the basketball team. Taylor McKessie, the token black, she's the leader of the Scholastic Decathlon team, showing Gabriella the ropes of East High. Ryan and Sharpay Evans are these twin siblings who serve as the main villains in the film. I say main villains because this film has many villains besides these two, but that's besides the point. They are these wacky, stereotypical theater kids who live, breathe, eat, and sleep musical theater. These two are the type that will do anything to stay in the spotlight and sabotage others who get in their way. Years later, Disney Channel actually would create some characters similar to Ryan and Sharpay. This movie also has a wide variety of other side characters, including Martha, a nerd who loves to pop and lock and jam and shake. You know, the types of things you would see on MTV around this time. Zeke, a basketball player who secretly loves to bake food. Kelsey, a shy and awkward piano player slash songwriter. Coach Bolton, Troy's dad and basketball coach. And Mrs. Darbus, a no-nonsense theater teacher who hates sports and cell phones. In typical Disney Channel fashion, the major conflict of the film happens when the big championship basketball game and the Scholastic Decathlon all take place during the same time as the school musical auditions. Having a very predictable plot and ending, Troy and Gabriella make it to the auditions and get the leads, which was a very satisfying end. Despite having a pretty predictable and simple plot, High School Musical was all about trying new things and being yourself. The main message of this film was to do whatever makes you happy, regardless of what people think or say about you, as long as it's legal. This movie, although cheesy at times, had some really good themes that many children could learn from. And this being a musical, we have to talk about the songs. The songs do a great job of moving the story forward, making it even more enjoyable enjoyable upon rewatch. The movie had a total of 12 songs that were all mostly iconic and memorable. The start of something new, a duet Troy and Gabriella were forced to sing against their will at the New Year's Eve party, and was the first song in the High School Musical franchise. Get Your Head in the Game, the upbeat hip-hop number showing Troy's sudden interest in musical theater. What I've Been Looking For, a remix Sharpay and Ryan sang for their audition for the school musical, followed by a more stripped-down version by Troy and Gabriella. Stick to the Status Quo, the big group confession song. When There Was Me and You, Gabriella's dramatic breakup ballad. Bop to the Top, the cultural appropriation song. Breaking Free, the big duet about perseverance and facing major obstacles. And We're All in This Together, the big finale song where they sing about friendship and togetherness, which makes zero sense because if you watch the movie, they weren't in it together. They were all sabotaging to make sure that Troy and Gabriella couldn't do the musical, but I digress. It's a Disney Channel movie. They had to wrap up the movie somehow. Besides this major flaw, this movie ends on a high note, leaving an impact that nobody saw coming.
What's up?
Hey, Pop Star readers!
We are premiering the ride called Expedition Everest here at what is
Disney World
in Orlando, Florida. You guys gotta come check it out. It's so awesome. You guys writing cue cards over there? You're like, hey guys, we're right here in Orlando, Florida.
Shortly after the premiere, High School Musical became an instant overnight success. Like I said earlier, the film became the most watched DCOM premiere at the time, with around 7.7 million viewers. Later that summer, the Cheetah Girls 2 broke the record, bringing in over 8.1 million viewers, mostly due to the hype that came from the first one in 2003, and the release of High School Musical a few months prior. High School Musical was just massively popular that year, as many children and teens around the country were inspired to pursue and join their school musical theater programs. The film was just so popular that the cast was on every talk show, red carpet, and award show, making them all household names overnight. The film's soundtrack was commercially and critically successful, reaching the top spot on the Billboard 200 albums chart, making it the highest selling album in the US that year, and the third highest selling worldwide, outselling Justin Timberlake, Amy Winehouse, Beyonce, as well as many others. The big single from the movie, Breaking Free, actually debuted at number 86 and jumped to the number 4 spot on the Billboard Hot 100, making it the highest jump in chart history at that time, and Disney Channel's highest peaking single. Kids were just so obsessed with the movie, as you just couldn't go anywhere without seeing High School Musical merchandise plastered in stores. There was books, dolls, toys, clothes, digital cameras, toothbrushes, posters, school supplies, backpacks, cups, video games, and so much more. You name it, they had it. I actually had a High School Musical camera as a kid that took these very pixelated pictures. It was so bad, but you just had to be there. The franchise was so big that they even had a very successful world tour titled High School Musical: The Concert. With a total of 52 sold out shows, the tour traveled all across the United States, Canada, Mexico, and South America. My dad actually took me and my little sister to the High School Musical concert. I was 11 around that time, and it was quite the experience. During lockdown in 2020, I actually rewatched the tour, and most of the singing was not as good as I remember, but that's besides the point. 5 of the 6 main characters, Vanessa, Ashley, Lucas, Corbin, and Monique, all went on this tour performing songs from the soundtrack, minus Zac Efron, who was filming his first major theatrical film, Hairspray, at the time. And Drew Seeley, the guy that I mentioned earlier, was actually able to take his spot on the tour, which was well deserved since he did most of the singing in the first film. This tour also served to promote the debut albums of Ashley Tisdale, Corbin Bleu, and Vanessa Hudgens, who were all trying to break into the mainstream as solo artists. With all this success, it only made sense to continue riding the High School Musical franchise wave with a widely anticipated sequel the following year.
It was so much fun to be back with everybody from High School Musical again. We're really like one big family now. I think you guys will be able to see that we still have the same magic that we had in the first movie. Plus, this time, we've got a few new surprises.
And one of the biggest surprises was how much our fans got to call the shots in this movie, with the Play Your Part online poll. It was really cool.
High School Musical 2 opens on the last day of school. You guys voted on what Chad's t-shirt should say, and the majority of you voted for?
I made it a vacation. Yeah! Okay,
Hey, this movie's about to start. Kenny, come on!
I'm coming!
Party's just getting started, guys, so keep it locked on Disney Channel all night. Let's hear it for Disney Channel's original movie, High School Musical 2!
What team? Wildcats! What team? Wildcats! What team? Wildcats! Wildcats!
Get your head in the game!
After a year of anticipation and hype, High School Musical 2 finally premiered on Disney Channel, becoming the biggest DCOM ever. The Wildcats returned for an epic summer vacation film that was bigger and better than the first one. The songs were better, the choreography was better, the story had more weight to it, and Zac Efron actually sings in this one, so that's pretty cool. Everything was just more lively. As you can tell, they really went all out with this one. Thanks to the massive hype and anticipation from the first one, High School Musical 2 was able to break numerous records, being the biggest in the franchise. Many fans and critics thought it was an overall improvement from its predecessor in 2006, and I have to agree with them, as this was possibly the best one in the franchise. Troy, Gabriella, Sharpay, Chad, Ryan, Taylor, and the rest of the Wildcats return for more fun, as the sequel takes place during the summer, as they all have to get summer jobs. This results in all of them working various jobs at Sharpay and Ryan's family-owned country club, which served as the main setting for this film. This film was just so vibrant and full of life, making it one of the most memorable Disney Channel original movies ever. Upon its release on August 17th, 2007, High School Musical 2 became the most commercially successful DCOM ever produced, with 17.2 million viewers during its premiere. To this day, it currently holds the record for most watched premiere in Disney Channel's history, as well as the most watched cable televised film in US history, which is just insane to think about. Like, this is a TV movie from Disney Channel, from a kids network. The soundtrack also saw widespread success this year, where it was certified double platinum in its first week, debuting at the #1 spot in the United States, where it stayed on top for 4 weeks. The single, What Time Is It, peaked at the #6 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 that year, and is one of the most streamed songs on Spotify from the franchise. Worldwide, the soundtrack became the highest selling album in 2007, selling approximately 6 million copies, which is just insane. Other popular songs from the sequel included Bet On It, Fabulous, You Are the Music in Me, and fan favorites I Don't Dance, which is ironic because they are singing about not dancing while singing and dancing. It makes no sense, but that's besides the point. High School Musical 2 has to be the best DCOM soundtrack of all time, with some of the most iconic and memorable songs to come from Disney Channel. Within 2 years, High School Musical had become the biggest franchise in children's entertainment, so much so where it had become inescapable to the general public. High School Musical mania was just everywhere during the mid to late 2000s, making it a staple in pop culture at the time. Disney was just bringing in billions of dollars in revenue from the franchise that they had no other choice but to bring the third and final film to the big screen in the following year.
Hey, this is High School Musical 3 senior year, baby! Woo!
On October 17th, 2008, High School Musical 3 Senior Year was released as a theatrical film to the franchise. This was the third installment during the High School Musical franchise trilogy as a whole. Troy, Gabriella, and the rest of the Wildcats returned to East High one last time during their senior year as they face the reality of being separated as they go off to college. Joined by the rest of their castmates, they staged their last musical reflecting their experiences, hopes, and fears about the future. The film was so popular that it opened as the biggest opening day for a musical film ever until the record was broken in 2012 with the Les Mis movie. Due to its higher budget, critics and fans noted that this film was a departure from the first two with better direction and visuals. Being the last in the franchise, they went even bigger and harder with the production, soundtrack, and overall story as the final hurrah to end an era. Following the success of the High School Musical trilogy, Disney Channel continued to pump out more musical-based content in their TV shows and DCOMs throughout the rest of the 2000s and the 2010s. During this time, more musical-centered episodes of their shows were pushed to the forefront, where the viewership exploded more than their standard episodes. There was even a Sweet Life episode where they did a whole High School Musical play.
So, Maddie, what part are you trying out for? Hello? Sharpay?
People say I look just like her. Really? I don't see it.
Get it? That's the joke. Ashley Tisdale, she's in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody playing a different character, but she's auditioning for Maddie, and they're telling her that she doesn't look like. Disney Channel would later premiere their hit show Hannah Montana a few months after the first High School Musical in the spring of 2006. The show was about a young girl who was living a double life as a pop star, juggling fame and living a normal life as a regular teenager. And this show was just a massive success for Disney Channel in the 2000s. You just had to be there. Disney Channel would continue creating more musical-based content with shows like Phineas and Ferb, The Jonas Brothers Show, and Austin and Ally, to name a few. During this era, we saw the rise of many teen pop stars that became household names and staples on the network. Also around this time, we would later see more successful musical DCOMs start to take off in popularity. Camp Rock, Lemonade Mouth, Teen Beach Movie, Let It Shine, Zombies, and the Descendants franchise would later dominate the network as the biggest teen musical franchises, which further solidified Disney Channel's dominance in children's entertainment. And it also didn't stop with Disney Channel. Nickelodeon saw what their competitors were doing at Disney at the time and decided to create their own original musical content with shows like How to Rock, Big Time Rush, and Victorious, to name a few. They even tried an attempt at creating their own version of High School Musical with an original movie, and it was pretty bad. Fox even had their own successful original musical called Glee, which was all about a group of high schoolers who were in a show choir. The show clearly drew inspiration from High School Musical with its high school backdrop, dramatic plot lines, and ensemble cast. Also, it being a musical. Disney would go on to create more High School Musical spin-offs with The Forgettable, Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure in 2011, and High School Musical, the series on Disney Plus in 2019, which is such a dumb name. Like, why call it High School Musical, that's just too many words. Why not just call it High School Musical, the series? But what do I know? I don't work for Disney. On a good note, the show did give us Olivia Rodrigo, so... In conclusion, High School Musical was and is considered to be one of the most popular and influential teen musicals of all time. The film franchise was able to capture the hearts of many children around the world with its catchy songs, quotable moments, and relatable characters that have stood the test of time. Children and teenagers saw themselves in the characters, motivating many of them to pursue musical theater and to just be themselves. High School Musical will forever go down in history as the biggest franchise to come from Disney Channel's extensive lineup. There is no denying that it has definitely left a big impact on the channel and fans of the franchise worldwide. So I want to know from y'all, what did you think of High School Musical? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you find it overrated? What was your favorite High School Musical movie? What was your favorite High School Musical song? Who was your favorite character? What do you think of the new show on Disney Plus? And what do you think of the overall impact High School Musical had on the world? Let me know down below. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate each and every one of you all. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more fun videos just like this. Bye!